guys need to get more. Generally, while all this is going on, there's people off to the side talking to bystanders, talking to family, and all the relevant medical history we can, trying to figure out exactly what's going on. Sometimes this can be caused because of an accidental medication overdose. It can be caused by low blood sugar. Those are
cut through the pressure cylinder of one of those.
it ain't gonna burn you. You're okay.
Recognize this is the 7th year of the CARES program, and Amy has spearheaded this effort each of those years since its inception, and has done a really tremendous job each and every year. Every year finds new ways to make it more interesting and creative ways of working with the departments to bring our participants up to date on the things that not only we're working on, but things that we're looking forward to in the future. And so Amy, on behalf of all of the department heads, all of the staff that work with you to offer this to our residents, thank you for everything that you do, and great job. So I'll turn it over to you for your presentation. And Mayor and Council, and to the guest, after Amy presents, Mayor will ask you and the Council to go to the front of the room there. You'll stand next to Amy and pass along the certificate of completion to each of the participants, and then you will be able to, participants, you'll be able to kind of shake hands with the remainder of the council, and then we'll ask everybody to gather on this side of the room until everyone's received their certificate, and then we'll take one big group photo with the class and the council. So that'll be how we approach this moving forward. So Amy, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wagner, and thank you, council, for your support of this program. Welcome, class 2025. Excited to have you. I want to thank you for dedicating your time to this class to learn more about your community. I hope you can enjoy reminiscing as we go through this presentation tonight, and I'm happy that you can share this with your family and friends. Here is our class proudly displaying their Richardson Care shirts at the fire department. And here is who they are. So we have, let's see, 6 in District 1, 7 in District 2, 6 are in District 3, 5 in District 4, and 2 non-residents who work with Richardson. In our age brackets, we have 2 who are 18 to 25, 8 who are 26 to 35, 9 who are 36 to 55, and 7 who are 55 plus. In the residents category, we have 8 who have lived here in Richardson 1 to 5 years, and that is our largest category. Each of the remaining categories are either 3 or 4 years, and then we have the 2 non-residents. For employment, we have 9 who are employed in Richardson, 9 employed outside of Richardson, and 8 that are either retired, self-employed, or do not work. So now let me tell you a little bit about the program. It was 8 weeks, 6 different venues, 18 presentations, 7 tours, 5 demonstrations, 4 scenarios or games, and 2 case study activities. And this is them at Public Works Night, or Public Services Night in front of the water tower, and they always have the CARES welcoming sign there for them. So our first session was session 1, the Richardson Way. That was held right here in this room, and it was with City Manager's Office, City Secretary's Office, the Budget Office, and Human Resources. There are a couple photos from that evening. And then here are some quotes, and I'll tell you a little bit about the evening while you're reading the quotes. So this session lays the foundation for all other presentations. Participants heard from our city manager about council manager form of government, various areas of concentration that the city manager's office focuses on, several city projects and economic development initiatives, and they also heard about the impacts of state legislation on local government. They heard from me about records management, city council support, elections administration, and I informed them about the city council and board and commission qualifications and opportunities. Our budget officer, Budget Bob, gave an overview of the year-round budgeting process and presented a challenging set of decisions that the city council has to make. Then they heard from our HR director, Jose Moreno, about HR recruits and how HR recruits, retains, and supports city employees. Session 2 was held at the Senior Center, and it was called Prep and Read, which stands for Parks, Recreation, Events and Programs, and Read, Discover, and Enjoy. Here's some photos for that evening. At this session, they heard about parks operations and events, and then they did a parks budgeting activity. They also got to see the floor plans and model of the library renovations, and they heard about the rubber band and played a game about library operations. Here are quotes from session 2. Class members are always interested to see how many services that the library offers, even if they've been to the library before, and then they always find the parks budgeting activity very eye-opening. Session 3 was held at police headquarters, and class members heard from Chief Tittle before taking a tour of the facility. They also saw demonstrations from the forensics unit, police drones, the SWAT team, and the K9 unit. Here's some of them with the SWAT vehicle, and there's Officer Winley with Hondo. And then they're also learning about the forensic lab, and we might have a new recruit there in the center. Here's some quotes from that evening. The class always enjoys this evening. It's dedicated to PD operations the whole evening. ask lots of questions. They learned about various operations, technology that the department has available to them. And we also, in this class, we had a few people who had never participated in National Night Out. So they got to hear about that and how competitive we are, and so it made them want to participate. So I think we had some new people this time participating in that. Here is session 4. This was health, safety, and community, and this was held at the Fire Training Center. They heard from community services, municipal court, health, and emergency management. Here's some photos from that evening. And here's some quotes from this session. So the class watched a video first about the court operations that was produced by our very own CITV, and they learned about the importance of jury duty from our court administrator, Kim Pierce. They heard from Lindsay Turman about community services, code compliance, and a fun game of what is and isn't a code violation. And after their meal, which was luckily they ate first, they heard from Health Director Bill Alston about mosquitoes, restaurant inspections, and animal services. And they also got to see plans of the animal shelter. And then the evening ended with a game called Extreme Event that put class members in an emergency scenario where they had to play different roles and they had to make a lot of quick decisions about how to take care of the community. Session 5 was held at the Service Center. This class heard from Transportation and Mobility and Development Services. They took a tour of the Traffic Management Center, the sign shop, and they acted as council members as they reviewed a zoning case. And these were real cases that they reviewed, so they had previously been decided on by council, so they got to hear, after they made their own decisions, they got to hear about how that case was approved or denied and the elements of that case. Here's a couple photos from that night. And here are their quotes. This class really always, and everybody always enjoys seeing behind the scenes of the traffic operations center. And the activity of the zoning process, it really does help them understand how the process works for zoning. Session 6 was building, maintaining, and serving Richardson. And this one was held at the Service Center where the class was welcomed with a parking lot full of public service equipment and a welcome sign. I started out the evening with an overview of volunteer opportunities. I talked to them more about the board and community service, about wildfire volunteers, and all the different volunteering opportunities that we have throughout the city. Then they toured the fleet and facilities warehouse and the mechanic bays. They toured the SCADA center and all the equipment and demonstrations and hands-on outside with the vehicles. And here's some fun photos from that night. I actually got to sit and I think this was one of the new trucks. I can't remember what kind of truck it is, but they got honk horn and all that stuff. The horn is very loud. Alright, and here's some quotes from that evening. And I really just love this first quote that talks about, being misty-eyed from various team members standing out there in their vehicles. And it is great to see all of them out there. They really enjoy it. They love having the class come through and being able to teach them about what their equipment does. All right, this was session 7. We were back at the Fire Training Center, and this night was dedicated to the fire department. The class heard from Chief Coovey, and then they saw several demonstrations. Here's some photos from that night. So first, they saw an emergency situation with an unresponsive person from start to finish. One of the members got to perform CPR. Then they witnessed an extraction from a vehicle. They got to see how they got to operate the fire hoses and pick up all the emergency equipment. And next, you'll see a quick video.
Oh, really?
So they all got to do that. And here are some quotes from that evening. And I think we have more than a few who are planning to sign up for the Citizens of Fire Academy. All right, session. It was informative, creative communications, and performing arts and entertainment. This was held at the Eisman Center. They got to do a tour of the Eisman Center and see a preview of the upcoming season. Then they heard from our communications about various forms of media that we use, and then they got to see in real time how an informative video is made, and I'll show you a clip of that in just a moment. And then they were also given an emergency scenario to where they had to determine when and how to release information to citizens. I think they really enjoyed that activity as well. Here's some photos from our meeting. And here's some quotes from that evening. I think they really enjoyed the tour. David helps give the tour at the Eisman Center, and he has a lot of history and detail about everything, so we enjoy getting to just kind of get inside his mind about the center. They were also impressed with the quick and professional work of Carlos, who did creative video for us while we were in the session. We also had an optional Let's See It tour that was one Saturday morning, and that was with Engineering Director Nicole and Public Service Director Eric Robinson. And they joined us on the tour. They visited the Northside Water Tower. They stopped at the Northside Pump Station. They got a tour of the library under construction, and they viewed the City Hall construction. And along the way, they also visited several road projects. So here's some photos from that tour. And the four boards down there are the City Council chambers. All right. Next, I have a video. This is a clip that Carlos did for us.
CARES has been wonderful. Every place that we've gone to, the people have been fantastic and eager to share with us their work and what they do and how they interact with the city overall. And for me, it's been really useful getting to know the different parts of the city, the different buildings and facilities that the city has, and also the different volunteer programs. There are things that I've been wanting to do since I was young that I never thought I'd be able to, that CARES has opened up the door for. So volunteering at the Eisman Center, or the Citizens Fire Academy, the Citizens Police Academy, and then just other different board government, volunteering for the boards, for city council, all these different programs I would have never even imagined were available to me.
This has been so cool today. I have enjoyed it so much because, I came to the orientation and they took us to the different arenas, but we didn't get to see the behind the scenes. So that has been wonderful to get to see how they do that.
I think the passion that everyone brings to the departments or the municipal functions that we've had presented to us. I haven't gone to a single one where there hasn't been someone who's very animated and very enthusiastic about the work they do and what they provide to the city.
So this is our class at the Eisman Center. And Mary, I just want to take a moment now to thank our staff for helping to put this together each year. It takes several dozen staff members from each department. They schedule the evening, and I think they really do a great job, and it couldn't be done without all of them. So I appreciate them and all of their help. And a special thanks to my staff, Crystal Brown and Stephanie Hernandez, who helped put this together as well. They helped set up, and they helped take it down, and they cover the office when I'm out doing these things. And then thank you, Mr. Magner and SEMO team, for their support of this program. And then finally, really thank you, council, for having a vision of this program and for promoting it and supporting it. And I've had the privilege to get to know all of these class members over the last 8 weeks, and I know we will see many of them throughout the community and volunteering and getting engaged, because that's what they learned about. And so they're very excited to be engaged. So I really want to applaud you and thank you for being here. Right, Mayor, now we're going to present their certificates.
Wonderful. So you'd like me up there with you and the council?
Murphy.
2025 meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to approve those as published.
All right, Councilmember Doran.
I'll second that. Thank
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? That passes unanimously. We'll move on to item number 4, public comments on agenda items and business forum. Mr. Beck.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, we're not in receipt of any cards in advance of the 5 p.m. deadline. However, we do have one speaker signed up in a public hearing, so I'll read the following instructions. During this portion of the council meeting, 30 minutes is allocated for the members of the public to provide comments to the city council on agenda items. If you're here to speak on a public hearing item, please wait until that public hearing is open. If there's time left during the initial 30 minutes allocated at the beginning of the meeting, the remaining
This address, a lovely building just across from the park. Let me tell you just a little bit about us. So we are positive reward-based dog training. We're a family-owned company. We've been in the Dallas area operating for over 18 years at this point. We're currently in Frisco, where we've been for 13 years. And as Derek mentioned, we previously operated in Richardson. Richardson was a great location for us. We were over on Glenville Drive for 8 years. A huge rent increase hit us when the lease was up, so we moved out, but we've been anxious to get back to Richardson. Some of the discussion points around the special use permit are around the potential animal impact of having dogs in the facility and such. So wanted to point out that our programs are primarily indoors in our freestanding building. So in this building that we'll be remodeling, there's going to be 2 large training rings. And in those rings, we have both group classes and private lessons. And that's where most of the training happens. We will incidentally sometimes also be out in our parking lot or behind our building.
and then taking the market value analysis and the more micro data that's unique here to Richardson, and talking about how 3 things, Ruthie, really. Where those strategies would be most effectively employed here in the city, how we can go about implementing those strategies, and importantly, what the cost of those strategies would likely be. And so I really want to thank Maureen, as we're all new to this. She came up with this very effective approach, I think, to presenting this information. Done in reverse, we could spend hours on hours and hours of looking at data that may not be applicable to any strategy that you want to consider. And I think that's the balance that we're trying to strike here, is to make sure that we have an effective conversation around the things that you're most interested in learning more about. So, Maureen, I really want to thank you, and Jeanette, Lindsay, and Riley have all done a great job of staffing this and bringing this to our attention tonight. So, Council, as Maureen goes through,
they have to make a 10% down payment. Here's kind of how the math works. So they've got their sales price, but we have to add in some closing costs. So their purchase price is about $520,000. But because of their lower income and the high cost of the home, underwriting takes into account on real estate taxes also. So that family would only qualify for a maximum loan of $173,591. They put down the minimum 10% down payment, that's $51,000. But they still would have to bring almost $300,000 in cash to the table to be able to afford that home. So that family cannot move into